All right, today we are diving into a book that, let's be honest, can be really confusing, Revelation. But instead of getting tangled up in wild doomsday predictions, we're going to do something different. We're going to decode its very first chapter to see what it tells us about its own purpose. Okay, let's jump in. You know, when you hear the word revelation, your mind probably jumps to prophecies, strange beasts, and the end of the world. But what if that's not the whole picture? This isn't just a book about an ending, but maybe it's about a beginning, the beginning of a deeper understanding. So where do we even start trying to decode this thing? Well, it turns out the very first clue is hidden in plain sight. It's the book's first word in the original Greek. And believe me, this one word kind of changes everything. That word is apocalypsis. It's where we get our English word apocalypse. But its original meaning had nothing to do with disaster or catastrophe. It literally means to take away the cover or to unveil. So right from the get-go, the book is telling us it's not a sealed-up book of doom, it's an unveiling of truth. Okay, so if this is an unveiling, what exactly is it pulling the cover off of? The first chapter makes it crystal clear. The central figure of the entire book is Jesus Christ. And even that name, Christ, holds another key piece of the code. See, the word Christ isn't a last name, it's a title. It comes from the Greek word Christos, and it means the Anointed One. Now, this is the key that unlocks the next piece of the puzzle, because in ancient tradition, 3 specific roles were anointed. And those 3 roles were prophet, priest, and king. So as the anointed prophet, he's seen as the word of God itself. As the priest, he's the one who connects humanity to God. And as the king, he's the ultimate authority. So when the book says it's the revelation of Jesus Christ, it's unveiling his complete identity across all 3 of these incredibly important roles. Now, this unveiling doesn't just stop with titles. Revelation is absolutely packed with symbols. And there's one number that pops up over and over and over again. So let's take a crack at decoding the number 7. The number 7. You see it everywhere in this book. 7 churches, 7 seals, 7 trumpets. You get the idea. But this isn't just a random number thrown in there. No way. It's a very deliberate symbolic choice, and it has a really specific meaning. Our source material puts it very directly. 7 is the number of perfection or perfect completeness. So think of it like this. Whenever you see the number 7 in Revelation, it's a signal. It's telling you that whatever is being described is whole, it's finished, it's total. And once you have that key, you start seeing this idea of completeness everywhere. The message is for the 7 churches, which really represents the entire church. Then you've got 7 spirits, 7 stars, 7 seals, 7 trumpets. I mean, the pattern is just undeniable. It's this recurring theme that keeps reinforcing the idea of wholeness. So you have to ask, where does this all come from? Well, it's traced all the way back to the beginning, to Genesis. The 7 days of creation set the original pattern. Just like creation was perfectly finished and made complete in 7 days, the number 7 in Revelation points to a perfection of purpose, a story that is whole and complete. Okay, so we've looked at what is being unveiled and how it's being shown through symbols. But now let's talk about who. Who is this whole message actually for? The book says its message is for bond servants. Now, that's not some special, elite class of people. It's understood as a term for all true believers, anyone who willingly chooses to serve God. And that makes this message incredibly personal and direct for its audience. And right up front, there's a promise of a blessing, but it comes with a condition, a sort of 3-part call to action. It's not enough to just read the words on the page. You also have to truly hear them, to have the spiritual ears to really get it. And finally, you have to heed them, to actually put what you've understood into practice in your life. This brings us to probably one of the biggest points of confusion for a lot of readers, the timing. The book says these things must shortly come to pass. So let's unpack that idea of urgency. And look, this is a totally fair question. If shortly meant back in the 1st century, well, it's been almost 2,000 years. So was the whole prophecy just wrong? This apparent contradiction is tackled by asking us to think about time itself from a completely different perspective. It really boils down to 2 very different points of view. From our human perspective, our lives are super short, right? Just a vapor that's here and then gone. But from a divine, eternal perspective, 1,000 years could feel just like a single day.
So what feels like an eternity to us might just be a moment in the grand scheme of things.
So here's the bottom line. The urgency isn't about circling a specific date on a calendar. It's not a countdown clock to a specific year. Instead, when the text says things like shortly or the time is at hand, it's meant to create a constant state of spiritual readiness, because from God's timeless perspective, the end is always near.
So when you decode just this first chapter, the whole perspective can shift. Revelation starts to look less like some locked-down schedule of future disasters and a lot more like a timeless message, an unveiling of who Christ is and a call for believers to be ready always. So the question to leave you with is, does thinking about it as an open message for all time instead of a locked schedule change how you see the book?